Good morning to you, and welcome back to today's JRPG Weekly Update. I am SuperDerek, and guys, did you hear about this? I heard these rumors that there was this news going around because of this PlayStation 5 launch, and I looked into it, and I can confirm that we got some stuff to talk about today, guys. Okay, starting with Final Fantasy XVI. Was announced. Final Fantasy XVI. I don't know the last time that I was actually excited for a Final Fantasy game. Actually, that's not true. When I heard about Final Fantasy VII Remake, that was the last time that I think I was really excited for a new Final Fantasy game. But prior to that, gosh, I don't even know. But Final Fantasy XVI was announced at the PlayStation 5 event. As we discussed, there were rumors that it was going to happen. I told you to make sure you were tuned in for it in case it did happen. So I'm guessing most of you guys probably already saw the trailer. But if you didn't, check it out because there's some things of note that are really exciting. The first of which that I'm most excited about with this trailer is that it is a return to the medieval fantasy setting, which I've been lamenting the breakaway from that since, you know, Final Fantasy VII, really. I mean, 7 was really good, but I've missed, you know, the medieval fantasy settings from the original Super Nintendo and NES era RPGs from Square Enix. So the fact that we're getting to see a return to that in the Final Fantasy series, I mean, we haven't seen something like that since 9. That's just one of the very exciting aspects of it. It's a 4-minute trailer featuring chocobos, a medieval fantasy setting, and action RPG combat, which is kind of a bummer because obviously I probably would have preferred a turn-based RPG. I know a lot of you also probably would have, but at this point I feel like maybe this is Square Enix's way of keeping the Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy series sort of distinct from one another and keep them, you know, from overlapping. Maybe not, I don't know, but it looks really cool. The trailer shows what looks like it's going to be a darker story centering around the crystals from, you know, the original Final Fantasy games. It's been a while since we've seen those. Overall, my feelings are generally pretty positive. I'll talk about that a little bit more later on during the question of the week. This may be a PlayStation 5 exclusive because based on the trailer, it doesn't show that it's coming to anywhere else. I haven't heard any additional announcements about any other consoles, so at least initially, it might be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Maybe it'll come to PC sometime down the road. It could be a timed exclusive. Also, no release date has been announced yet. I'm guessing it's probably going to be a little while based on what we know about how long it takes for Square Enix to put together some AAA games. Do you remember how long we waited for Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out? Yeah. Might want to get comfortable, but on the other hand, the trailer did also show off some gameplay that looked pretty well into development, so it's really hard to say. It's hard. It could be anytime after the PlayStation 5 launches, that is, anyway. And now there's this other game that I was also extremely excited for at that PlayStation 5 event that just really kind of stole, I think, Final Fantasy XVI's thunder, at least for me a little bit. Now, it is a Western RPG, so maybe that's going to be maybe not the case for you guys, but Hogwarts Legacy was announced, and this is that Harry Potter universe RPG that has been long rumored and seldom seen. Saw some screenshots, some like camera phone pictures that were taken of a demo in the some time ago. I think we talked about it. Actually, it might have been several months back. I think it might have even been like almost a year ago when we saw the little screenshots. Anyways, I've been looking forward to more news about this ever since, and now we finally got news that Hogwarts Legacy is coming to PlayStation 5. Looks like it's taking place in like the late 1800s. The trailer alludes to a larger world even outside of Hogwarts. I mean, could this be an open world Western style RPG? Like, and how open world are we talking about here? Lots of questions for me. Now, this appears to be like a really kind of exciting, also of kind of a darker looking Harry Potter universe style RPG, and I've always wanted to play a Harry Potter RPG, and not the ones on Game Boy or Game Boy Advance. because those looks like they've been pretty awful so far, but this one looks extremely good. like better than it has any business being. In all truth, in all honesty, it looks like they just wanted to make an awesome RPG, and it happened to take place in the Harry Potter universe, or what are they calling that anymore now that's like Wizarding World? I don't know. It's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Also, this was announced for PlayStation 5 for 2021, so not really sure when in 2021, so at least we know we won't be getting it for at least 3 months, I guess. We also got an announcement for Disgaea 6, The Defiance of Destiny, and this is coming to Nintendo Switch here. This is the latest entry in the beloved and bizarre Disgaea series by Nipponichi Software. The trailer released indicates it's going to have like a maximum level of 99,999,999, and that the damage dealt within battles here is going to be somewhere in the quadrillions. So things are going to be pretty darned ridiculous from the sounds of things. So the game, it says in the trailer itself that it actually defies common sense. It sounds pretty funny. So I mean, if you're already a fan of Disgaea, this strategy RPG, this tactical RPG series, then no doubt you're already excited for this. It looks like it's going to be coming out in summer of 2021. Now, Rune Factory 5 is also going to be coming to Nintendo Switch sometime in 2021. This is, as a big fan of Rune Factory Frontier back on the Wii, I fell in love with that game, and it looks like the series has really just sort of taken off and gotten even crazier and more complex ever since then. Now, it looks like this is going to be kind of like a farming sim, fishing sim, dating sim, everything, a marriage sim, but it's also an RPG. Now, also, we had a follow-up to last week's NISA's exciting localization announcement, and at the time, a lot of people were very hopeful that maybe this would be a new Crossbell announcement. It was not. It, in fact, was a localization announcement for Poison Control, which is a shooting-based action RPG developed by Nipponichi Software and launched back in June in Japan of this year. Now, the game is actually looking pretty cool, but it sure is not the Crossbell games. That said, they never promised the Crossbell games, so don't be that guy who's, going to go over on Twitter and cuss up NISA, because I mean, clearly they have no control over that, and the sad fact is that actually is happening. And just don't be a piece of crap person like that. Don't cuss out a company who's only doing what they can to make video games come to the West. Don't be that person, please. And if you are that person, unsubscribe. Poison Control is a pretty interesting looking RPG based on the trailer. Probably not exactly my cup of tea, but hey, that's going to be coming to PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch in early 2021. Also, Mercenaries Blaze, Dawn of the Twin Dragons is coming to Nintendo Switch. This is the 5th and latest release in the Mercenaries strategy RPG series. I've never played any of them, and I didn't even know they had 5 games already. That's crazy, the blind spots that you can have in the world of RPGs, I think. In Japan, they got a PlayStation 4 announcement, but the worldwide release, unfortunately, only mentions the Nintendo Switch version, and that's going to be launching on Nintendo Switch worldwide in winter of this year. And then getting back to the PlayStation 5 event, there was another game that did catch my eye, and that is, of course, the Demon's Souls remaster. That was already kind of announced, but now we know that that's going to be a launch title for the PlayStation 5, and it looks like a really fun game. It looks like Demon's Souls, but better. Go figure. Anyways, so that's launching alongside the PlayStation 5 on November 12th in the United States and the 19th in Europe. Now, in community news, the Hajimari Spreadsheet fan translation is apparently the story is at 100% translated at this point, which is incredibly impressive. So this isn't exactly like the I mean, there's still some work to be done left on this after the translation of the story is done. There's other things, to be done, but this is kind of interesting as far as like fan translations. Is this some sort of hack? Not necessarily in the way that we typically assume that they are. This sort of translation is not like modifying the game code. Instead, what you do is you can like remote play on your PlayStation 4 or use a capture card from your PlayStation 4 to your computer. And it has this thing that it acts as an overlay to your game to overlay the translated text over your game. It's pretty awesome. It's incredible that they've already been able to like put this together in the course of basically a month, because this game only launched on August 27th in Japan. So that's incredibly quick. If you just can't wait for an official release, buy the game in Japanese and play it with this fan translation patch that's expected to launch sometime next week. Now, in other news, it has been made official that the PlayStation 5 will not have backwards compatibility beyond the PlayStation 4. So PlayStation 3 and backwards is just not going to be able to do anything with those. Obviously, the software or the machine is going to be powerful enough to do those things. It just isn't. And that most likely is a business decision. I mean, if they can make a phone emulate a PlayStation 1 flawlessly at this point, there's no reason that the PlayStation 5 couldn't. Plus, PlayStation 2 at this point is kind of child's play to emulate. And PlayStation 3, it'd be a lot more work if they went with emulation. But, I mean, Sony would have the resources to do this. So I really don't think that it's like, oh, the PlayStation 5 isn't capable. It's, oh, we couldn't sell you the games again for the 17th time if we made it backwards compatible. How are we going to sell you PlayStation 2 games if you already have all of your PlayStation 2 games? So how are we going to sell you remasters of PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games if you can just play them already? You know, it makes their job of selling games a little more difficult. So I understand the business side of things, but now we have the JRPG Weekly Forecast, which starts off Tuesday, the 22nd, with 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, which is coming to PlayStation 4. This is a vanillaware action RPG that takes place in a modern setting and looks pretty neat. And then on Thursday the 24th, we've got Tears of Avia, which is coming to Xbox One. This is a tactical turn-based RPG from Cuckoo Squeaky, which also looks, I don't know, interesting. Now, that leaves me with today's question of the week. And there was just so much craziness going on this week, but the real question that I had for you guys is, what is your overall sentiment right now for Final Fantasy XVI? It is the big RPG series that is the household name right now, right? And what do you think of their next mainline entry into the series? Now, I feel like there's still a lot of really just unanswered questions about this game, so that I can't really get myself too hyped up for it. Of course, I'm really excited for the return to the medieval fantasy setting. I did already kind of talk about that earlier in the video. The fact that it is an action RPG and not a turn-based RPG is, I think I mentioned this too, but it's a little bit of a turn-off for me. It's not going to be a deal breaker for me. It's not a deal breaker. I do think a turn-based option would have been nice, but I mean, I think we might just be beyond that point, you know. I don't know if there's any going back to turn-based now that the last couple of RPGs from Final Fantasy, the last 3, have been action RPGs. Well, the last 2 plus this one, it's 3. Probably not going back to turn-based ever again, and that makes me sad. But, you know, the fact is that this game is also being produced by Naoki Yoshida, who is the person basically who is solely responsible for turning around Final Fantasy XIV after its miserable initial launch. It started off really bad, and then it's been just getting a whole lot of praise ever since he started turning it around. So if nothing else, it sounds like he's capable fully of telling a story, telling a good story, and it sounds like, based on what he's also done in the past, it seems like he's got a pretty good feel for the Final Fantasy roots, and that makes me pretty excited. So I just want to hear what you guys think. Are you concerned about Final Fantasy XVI? Are you excited about it? Are you all in, or are you out? Let me know down in the comments down below, and thank you for hanging out with me today, guys. I am SuperDerek, and this has all been news to me. Have a great week, everybody.